Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. This is episode 26. It is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
You can catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Catch us on Spotify at 9 Frames. We're on X at 9 Frames Pod, and we're on PlayerGM.com. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, it's always appreciated.
Getting into the baseball now. Starting it off, Adam Wainwright gets his 200th win of his career. We were talking about it. We didn't know if he was going to be able to get there. He has had a very, very big struggle season.
Yeah, he is 42, but congratulations to Uncle Charlie, because that's legitimately the only reason he came back this year is because he wanted 200 wins, I feel like.
Yeah, so he's able to get that on his career resume, and all respect to Adam Wainwright.
Made it a little bit of a buzzer beater, though.
For real.
I think he has maybe one or two more starts max.
I think it might be one more, yeah. Probably two. There's 12 days left in the season.
I saw fans saying that he should just not pitch again. Just end on the 200th.
Fair enough. Why not shut him down? Yeah,
you don't need to pitch
let him rest.
That's it.
He will be doing a concert at in St. Louis for the last weekend of the season, so maybe just have him focus on that and relax.
Yeah.
St. Louis was eliminated from postseason contention the day after, or maybe even the same day, just because of it's been a really bad season for a really successful franchise.
Yeah, very oddly, a bad season. Nobody thought they would be a last-place team.
Definitely not.
With the reigning MVP and Arenado, and they got a good team. I guess it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I thought they'd be in the race right now, along with Cincinnati and the Cubs, but they're not at all.
Nope.
Big news, the Rays are set to announce a new stadium deal to stay in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, 2028.
That's huge for them, but a lot of the rumors were that they might move. I guess they're not going to be moving anymore, so I'm thinking, what will this mean for the expansion of the league?
Well, I guess if they were to do expansion, it would just be two different teams in different locations now.
Right, but I'm saying, I thought expansion might be tossed back because of these teams moving, like the Rays and the A's.
It could still happen.
Yeah, now they're not moving anymore, so...
They don't necessarily have to move because they are a successful franchise.
Yeah, the league can focus on expansion because the Rays will be staying in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and that's something that they have been looking into, so...
Yeah, very interesting. Bad news right now. Since the beginning of August, Will Smith for the Rangers has given up 17 runs in 16 1/3 innings pitched.
Yeah, To say that the Rangers bullpen has let them down in the second half is an understatement. None of them have been really that good, but that's season-killing numbers. His ERA is unsalvageable.
Yeah, it has to be.
It's over.
That's a terrible stretch there.
It's going to go down as just a bad season for Will Smith.
Keeping it in Rangers news, more on the bright side, Rangers activate Josh Jung and Adolis Garcia as they sit just a half game back of Houston for the AL West.
Yeah, huge, and I think Young had a big moment yesterday in the game.
Yeah, upon his return.
Yeah, so... they're immediately making a difference, as you'd expect.
That's what they need right now, as close as can be to winning the AL West.
Yeah, Young was in the thick of the Rookie of the Year race before he got hurt.
Yeah, he's been banged up for a bit.
And Gunner's just kind of pulled away with it now.
Fair to say. Freddie Freeman, I wanted to talk about this. He's the first player in MLB history to ever have 25-plus homers, 55-plus doubles, and 20-plus stolen bases in the same season. 20-plus stolen bases for Freddie Freeman at his age.
The craziest part about all that is that he might not even finish second in MVP voting with those numbers.
Very true.
Or third. I don't even know how the top four is going to shake out. I think it's probably Acuna's. I don't even think he can lose it now. He's going to have a 40-30 or a 40-70 season.
It's pretty wild, though. Betts does have a higher WAR than him, and their OPS difference is 0.1.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm still giving my vote to Acuna just because he's doing things we've never seen before.
If Betts was to win, it wouldn't be like he didn't deserve it. But
no,
the season that Acuna is having is just... I literally haven't ever seen it with my own two eyes.
And it's fair to say, I think Freddie Freeman is probably the player who's benefited the most from the growing size of the bases.
Well, I guess... by what I just said, we haven't seen the season that Freddie's having right now.
No, we really haven't.
With our eyes, literally haven't. It's the first in history, so
Very true.
No one's ever done it.
Yeah, and finishing off the intro, Shohei Ohtani got that elbow surgery that his agent did say will have him hitting by opening day 2024 and pitching by 2025.
Yeah, I guess that's good to have put that out there for him, knowing that he's going to be an upcoming free agent. I also saw that people were saying like you don't need a surgically, or you don't need like a fully healthy UCL to hit home runs.
No, not at all.
So he can just play a year as a DH, and he's going to be probably the best.
That's
DH
what
in
Harper
baseball.
did for a while, right? With a similar injury.
The exact same injury.
Yeah, so Ohtani will be playing, like, whatever team he's signing to will now know what he'll be doing for the next 2 years.
I also saw just in Ohtani news that if he indicates that he wants to go East Coast in any way, the expectation is that the Mets are going to give him the biggest offer.
That's fair to say. I wouldn't see another team giving a bigger offer. The Mets have been really throwing their weight around on the market lately.
And I could 100% see them just paying him next year to DH because their DH spot really isn't good.
They could use a DH for sure, and who better? Literally nobody.
Legitimately nobody.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Ohtani news as we always do. One of the biggest stories in sports. We're going to start this one off in the American League in what is a huge matchup of two first-place teams as Baltimore heads to Houston for a 3-game set. Who will come out on top?
Yeah, and the craziest part is like Baltimore has 93 wins when they start this series, and they still desperately need these games because Tampa Bay is just on their ass.
Yeah, there's no more competitive top of the race. That is, I mean, these teams are just absolutely filthy. They're like 10 games better than any team in the AL West.
Oh yeah, it's insane. The Orioles. Yeah, I mean...
AL East is different this year.
Yeah, those top two teams have been insane.
Before we get into what happened in these games, I did want to say, Jack Flaherty, man, he gets moved to the bullpen, they announced.
Yeah, we've been talking about him.
He has a 7.11 ERA in 7 games started with Baltimore, so they decide that they can better use him out of the pen, and I think that's a good move.
Yeah, he just hasn't been what they wanted him to be when they made that trade, and sometimes that's just how it goes, honestly, with trades like that. It just doesn't work.
It's a similar thing happened to Michael Lorenzen this past weekend. We'll talk about him in a little bit.
I don't know his contract situation, Flaherty, but it's nice to see that they didn't just DFA him like all these other teams have been doing to their acquired talents.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Just move him to the bullpen and give him a chance.
I feel like every time we talk about him in a start, though, it does not go well.
I mean, you just said he has a 7-11 with them. It can't have been going well.
Most definitely. The series itself, though, man, it's been a slugfest. Game 1 was an 8-7 Baltimore win and such a disappointing loss for Houston.
Yeah.
This game was Verlander versus Means, but both of the pitchers get no decisions in this one. Verlander ends up going 6 innings pitched, giving up 8 hits, 1 walk, so 9 base runners, 5 Ks, only 3 runs, though, so that's a quality start.
Yeah, it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse.
Now, the story of this game is the pen, and we'll talk about that later. As of right now, John Means goes 5 in his return, gives up 4 hits, 3 walks, 1 K, and 1 run. Not bad at all.
Nice to see him back finally.
Pretty wild that we're talking about an 8-7 game, and we have 1 run given up by Means in 5 innings, and 3 runs given up by Verlander in 6 innings. So
isn't it crazy that the last time John Means threw a baseball for the Orioles, they were like a last place team, and now they're the best team in the American League when he returns?
Very true, and they could use him. He's a great arm.
A lot of shit has happened since he went down.
This was a wild game for the Baltimore pen. Fujinami comes out. He pitches a third of an inning and gives up 3 runs. Webb then comes in two-thirds of an inning and gives up a run. Colombe comes in and gives up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Jake Bowman 1 1/3 and he gives up a run. Those are 4 straight relievers giving up at least 1 run.
Yeah, and the craziest part is Bowman's the one that gets the win.
Wild.
That's his 10th win on the season as a reliever. That's pretty crazy.
The reason this game sucks so bad for Houston is because, man, Ryan Presley comes in for a save with a 7-5 lead, and you gotta feel great at that point. He's an absolute flamethrower.
Yeah, he's usually pretty nails.
He ends up giving up a 3-run homer to Cedric Mullins for his 15th of the year, and then the combination of Perez and Yainer Cano shut the door for a combined inning, and that's an 8-7 win for Baltimore.
It's a really nice win for Baltimore.
Most definitely. Specifically Mullins. He's the MVP in this one. He gets 4 RBI in that game, sac fly and a 3-run homer.
He's such a huge part of that team, and he's been dealing with the groin injury this year that's kept him out for, I think it's been a month total.
Yeah.
So, them being the best team in the American League without, their heart and soul, it's pretty crazy.
Great to have him back.
He plays both sides of the ball pretty well. His defense is fantastic in center field.
Yeah, very true. They've had so many guys stepping up on that team, the young guys, and Ryan O'Hearn having an absolutely filthy season as well.
It seems like everybody they're plugging in just does their job, which is, that's why they're in first.
Yeah, very true. Game 2 of this series was kind of more of the same. Houston can score with the best of them, but they cannot hang with Baltimore bats, man.
That Baltimore offense has just been different this year.
Yeah, this was another Super Bowl winnable game super winnable game for Houston, as Baltimore ends up winning 9-5 to go up 2-0 in the series in Houston's own building, man. Disappointing.
Definitely disappointing, especially because Houston has a couple teams right behind them that are both pushing for that division.
Yeah, Houston started this game well, too, against Kyle Gibson. He only went 4 2/3, gave up 5 hits and 2 walks, 3 runs, and they get 2 home runs off the guy. So the bats aren't the problem at all. The problem is Hunter Brown had an absolute meltdown game for Houston. He went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 7 earned runs, man.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be blamed on the Astros. They have, 12 runs and 20 hits in 2 days and 2 losses?
Yeah, this is a tough look for Hunter Brown. They needed a shutdown here and didn't happen.
No.
One of those runs, I don't know if you saw, a really good James McCann safety squeeze.
Wow.
Yeah, it's usually thought to be a dead play in baseball, and they pull it out against the Houston Astros, and it works. Pretty impressive.
You love to see stuff like that. It's because it catches everybody so off guard.
Especially it being James McCann.
Yeah,
I wouldn't imagine him doing that at all.
Who the hell's looking for James McCann to squeeze bunt?
And it was nobody. Gunnar Henderson gets an RBI single that makes it 7-3, and the game ends 7-5 after Yainer Diaz tries to bring his team back in the game with a 2-run homer in the 6th for his 23rd. It's another really disappointing game for Houston, and they gotta bounce back because they're entering Game 3 of this game. Like we said, only a half game up on both Seattle and Texas for that AL West lead.
Yeah, they haven't done what they were supposed to do. Granted, they did get a tough draw because it's Baltimore, but you still got to win one of these 2 games, especially when your offense is giving you those kind of games.
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say. These are disappointing games to drop when you're in such a thick race right now.
I mean, as soon as they made it 7-5 in the bottom of the 6th, they gave up 2 more to make it 9-5, and it's just like we talked about that. If you score 2 runs and then give 2 runs right back, it's too hard. It's too hard to climb out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's way too hard for the offense to just keep climbing out of holes.
Worth noting, Seattle and Texas right now are tied for that last spot, but Texas does hold the tiebreaker over Seattle as we stand here right now.
We're in for a good race, man.
Yeah, and we got 12 days left in the season and couldn't be closer.
No.
These teams are stun-locked. Game 3 is going to be Kyle Bradish, who is 11-7 on the year with a 3.12, having a real good year.
Probably been their best pitcher start to finish, I would say, so far.
Yeah, it's fair to say. And he'll be taking on Christian Javier, who's 9-4 with a 4.74. Kind of a struggle bus year for him.
Yeah, but he could also just out of nowhere give you a nasty start.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun matchup for sure. You think Javier can hold the Baltimore bats off? Because no pitcher's really been able to for them yet.
For their sake, he desperately needs to. Do I think he can? I'm not going to bet against the Orioles offense because of how good they've looked pretty much all year. And I think this is going to be another slug. I don't know if I could say a slugfest, though, because Bradish has been so good.
I was going to say the way I see this game going is both of these pitchers will put in a good performance, probably 5-6 innings, and keep their team in the game. And whichever bullpen falters, that's who will lose, and it's been Houston all series.
Yeah, they really just can't afford that today, man. You guys got to salvage one.
Yeah, Baltimore goes for the sweep as they sit 2.5 games up on Tampa Bay. We'll see how that series concludes.
You got a couple teams on your ass. Houston, you got to wake up here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move on over to Interleague now, as the Twins are in Cincinnati for a 3-game set that is honestly humongous for Cincinnati, and the Twins, we've said, are they're kind of a fringe team. They're in first place. They're most likely going to win their division. It would take, I don't think it's possible, actually, as their elimination number sits at 3 right now. But, yeah, the Reds need these games. And game 1, actually, they do just that. It was all Reds, as they get a pair of runs in the 2nd inning. And the story of this game, man, was every time the Twins would score after the Reds went up 2-0, the Reds would immediately answer. It's the same thing as what we were just saying with the Astros.
Yeah, we were just saying how tiring that can get for a team. This was a heavyweight fight, and Cincinnati just kept laying body shots to tire them out.
Yeah, Minnesota scores 1 in the 4th. Cincinnati grabs 2 back. Minnesota gets 1 in the 7th. Now we're in the latter third of the game. So they get 1 in the 7th, and then they give up 3 in the bottom half. And the Reds would end up winning 7-3.
Yeah, this game was kind of just like a slow suffocation of the team. Joe Ryan gets the loss. His ERA now sits at a 4.30, and he's 10-10 on the year.
Yeah, there was Noelvi Marte had an RBI. Will Benson with a sac fly. and his 11th homer to score Marte. So it was Benson and Marte were doing work last
Big
night
day
or
for
Monday.
Benson. That's 3 RBI for Will Benson.
Yeah, Steer continued to be good for the Reds, and Joey Votto, who I don't know if you saw that interview. They asked him if it was going to be his last homestand for the Reds, and he spoke for about 2 minutes, saying he doesn't really know, but he doesn't really care. Like, he's good.
I think it's
If this is it, he's fine.
I'm disappointed if this is it for him, because he's the type of player that deserves that type of like retirement tour where he gets the gifts like Miggy's getting.
Yeah, especially now as the Reds are starting to get a little more competitive.
So for such a star of the game and like really a great personality too, to not really get the tip of the cap on his way out would be a little disappointing in my opinion.
Well, if this is it for him and the Reds, I would kind of favor that I want them to make the playoffs, because
I would definitely.
I would love to see Votto get one more run just to see if they can make any noise.
It's been a while since he's had any shot, right? That 2014 season.
Yeah, it's been a minute since Cueto was on the team.
Cincinnati could really use it, and I know Votto wants to be there.
Yeah, so they pick up a huge win in Game 1, 7-3. Huge series opening W. The Twins, however, would respond in pretty much the best way you possibly could think of. The next night, which was last night, blanking the Reds 7-0.
Yeah, Reds definitely weren't able to keep their foot on the pedal, and this game was pretty dominant.
The game was fueled for the Minnesota Twins by great pitching. Kenta Maeda went 5 innings. I think he only gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs. He was fantastic. And the bullpen was even better. Combined, they allowed 6 base runners for the Reds. 4 hits, 2 walks, that was it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely dominant. If you're seeing 4 in the hit column, I mean, that's a good day.
And then it was, as I said, 7-0, so it was all Twins. Matt Wallner gets an RBI single. Ryan Jeffers, that is the catcher, hits his 11th home run of the year. And they would just keep piling it on as the innings went on, and the Reds just never got anything going off the Twin staff.
Yeah, they put up a 2 spot in the 6th, a 2 spot in the 7th, and a run in the 8th, and they just buried them.
So it's now 1-1. Both teams have won their games pretty decisively, you would say.
I would say so, yeah. It's kind of dominant games on both sides.
So now we have the rubber match today. As the Reds sit just 1 game out of that final wild card behind division rival the Cubs, and a half game behind Miami, so they have to jump 2 teams. You'd think, man, they need to get this game.
Yeah, Cincinnati has to keep themselves going, and I'd say they definitely need this game.
But like I said, Minnesota's elimination number for their division crown is 3, so they're going to be playing. Like, they want it.
They're looking to finish this up as soon as they can.
Yeah, so Game 3 is going to be Bailey Ober, who's 7-6 with a 3.67, and he's going to be taking on Hunter Green, who is 4-6 with a 4.45. They need Green to have one of his better starts.
Yeah, we keep saying that about Green, and then he just kind of isn't doing it. He keeps going. He doesn't really get too far into the games, and he's given up probably 3 runs or more most times.
They need him to lock it down tonight.
Big time. Who do you like in that game?
I think the Reds are going to come out and play hard. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt with the home game and Green. I think Green's going to be fired up tonight, and he's going to have a nice start.
Yeah, I think this game is kind of going to depend more on the bats, but I do think that the Reds will be able to pull it out.
Unfortunate news for the Twins, speaking of bats, and it's going to benefit Hunter Green a little bit. Carlos Correa is headed back to the IL after he re-aggravated his plantar fasciitis, which is not what you want to see 2 weeks before the postseason.
No, a real killer right now, and I mean, they need that guy for sure. Great bat.
Yeah, I mean, he was signed to be their best player, and he's been on the IL a couple times this year with the same foot injury that was what was warned to the 2 teams that signed him and decided to back out.
Yeah, these are why he ended up not getting a contract with San Francisco or the Mets.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like it might be hurting Cincinnati at the worst time possible right now.
Yeah, we'll see if they end up getting him back before the playoffs even.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Minnesota is going to win their division, so that's pretty much locked up. Do we think the Reds are going to squeeze in? I can't gauge the Reds. They look like they're going to get in, and then they hit the brakes a little bit, and then it looks like they're not going to get in. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I was going to say I'd love if the Reds do get in, but I genuinely kind of think that they're going to be sitting where they are right now at the end of the season. It's going to be a real heartbreaker.
Yeah, that would be really tough for a team that's fought for so long to get back, but I mean, we'll keep our eye on it.
Yeah, they missed by a game or 2. It'll be rough.
I'm pulling for them.
Me too. Taking it on over to the National League now, specifically the National League East. Philadelphia heading on over to Atlanta for a 3-game set.
Yeah, they meet up again.
These teams played a 4-game in Philadelphia last week. Atlanta took 3 out of 4 of those, so Philadelphia's going to need to step up here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it. Philadelphia is no lock for the playoffs.
No, they could slip out for sure if they skid at the end here.
So they better pick it up in this last 2 weeks.
Game 1 was Zach Wheeler versus Kyle Wright. Wheeler looked nice in this one, man. He went 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks, only 1 earned run, so a really good performance from him.
Yeah, it was a little hiccup in the first inning, but after that he settled in and really just didn't give up anything else.
Yep. Wright goes 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 walks, so 9 base runners in 4 innings, 4 earned run. He gives up 3 homers. That's a rough showing for him.
It blows my mind that guy was a 20-game winner last year.
Pretty wild.
I can't believe it.
He's now 0-3 with a 7.71 and only 7 starts this year, but he's really like the only Brave you see struggling to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, I drafted the guy in fantasy because I was like, he's a 20-game winner. He's going to do the same thing, or even if he doesn't do the same thing, like give me like 13, 14 wins, and he's got 0.
Yeah, that's
he's got 0
very
with 2 weeks left.
disappointing. The only run given up by Wheeler, that was all that Atlanta got. It was Acuna's 31st homer of the year, and it was a solo in the first. Philadelphia is fueled by RBIs by Nick Castellanos, Harper, Real Muto. Johan Rojas gets 2, and Schwarber gets 2 to go to 99 RBI on the year.
Yeah, he's going to break 100 again.
Yeah, Philadelphia wins this one easy at 7-1, and Wheeler gets that W, Wright gets that L. You got to be feeling good after a 1-0 win.
You know what the craziest part is? Kyle Wright was a 20-plus game winner for them last year, and he has 0 with 2 weeks left, and they're still the best team in the National League.
Yeah, I mean, he's only made 7 starts this year, but they've been doing it without him.
My point is he hasn't helped them at all.
Very true.
And they just found a replacement, and they're going to win 100 games again.
Yeah, it's also been really weird to see Atlanta actually struggle for the last half week.
Yeah, the Marlins really put a damper on them.
It's really only been a half week. It's been the Marlins series and then this.
It's not frequent when you see them lose 4 in a row.
No, that's true.
And they just did. So
Game 2 was the opposite way, basically. It was an easy win for Atlanta. This was the Strider game against Christopher Sanchez. Strider gets the win in that one. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no walks, 11 Ks, 3 earned runs.
Yeah, he's at 270 on the season now, man. He might get to 300, and we haven't seen that.
Obviously, the MLB lead, and you just got to give him the tip of the cap.
Yeah, the problem with him is his ERA is a little bit too high, which is kind of puzzling because it's like he's either striking people out or he's giving up runs.
Yeah, it's been a little rough for him this year, but I mean, to have a guy at a 3.73 right now with that amount of Ks in this team.
Yeah, and he's got 18 wins. I mean, he's fine.
Yeah, especially on the Braves team with their bats, he's going to get wins.
You'd have to think that they feel pretty damn confident with him on the mound every time.
Yeah, Christopher Sanchez struggled in this one as he goes 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 walk, 3 runs. The real story of this game, we mentioned him previously because of the Jack Flaherty move. The Phillies did move Michael Lorenzen to the pen, and he comes out of the pen in this game for 1/3 of an inning, gives up 3 hits and 3 walks and 4 runs.
Are the Phillies stupid?
No, he's been pretty rough.
No, I know, but the guy threw a no-hitter for them.
Yeah, his ERA with Philadelphia now sits at a 6.02 in 43 and a third innings.
So I guess after the no-hitter, it's been just downhill.
Very much downhill, and it's kind of rough to see. But yeah, they did the same thing as Baltimore did with Flaherty. I don't know. It's not working there.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was happening. That sucks for Lorenzen.
Big time, yeah.
But this is exactly how I would assume the Braves would bounce back after a performance like that in Game 1.
Atlanta took this game easily, 9-3, as the usual suspects are Acuna. He gets 2 RBI. He's sitting at 100. Olsen gets an RBI. He's sit at 130.
Didn't Acuna have 2 homers yesterday?
Yeah, he might.
I think he had a multi-homer game after having one in the first game. So he's
2
already
solo homers.
The guy's going to have a 40-70 season.
Yeah, Olsen has 1 RBI to get to 130, and Ozuna has 3 RBI to get to 85. Nice round numbers for all 3 of them, and the series is now tied 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such a dangerous team, man. 1 through 9, it just doesn't stop.
It's a statement game for Atlanta as they win their 97th en route to another 100 win.
Approaching 900 runs on the season. 875 for the Braves this year.
Yeah, Game 3 should be a fun rubber game, too, between these teams. Nola is starting for Philadelphia. He's 12-9 on the year with a 4.62, man. That number just kind of keeps going up.
Yeah, and it's weird because he usually is the guy that they rely on. the most.
Yeah, he has been, but now it seems to be Wheeler who had a great first game for them. So
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully he could replicate just at least a little bit of what we know he's able to do.
yeah, very true. He'll be taking on Bryce Elder for Atlanta, who's 12-4 on the year with a 3.50. As we see, he's coming off the L against Miami previous weekend.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've been looking at the standings at all, but like the Phillies now are just only 3 games in there.
Well, they're 3.5 games up on a playoff spot, and they're only 2.5 games up on Arizona for the top spot.
That's not a lot.
No, not a lot at all.
They could go on one if they get swept in the next series they play, and Miami sweeps. They're out.
Yeah.
Or close to it. They're a half game in.
Very true.
That's crazy.
Very true. And that would be so disappointing for Philadelphia, who, as we said, they felt like they were in there.
Yeah, and it's a team that went to the World Series out of the National League last year, and they're hoping to get back to see if they could right the wrongs. And I mean, it's fully on them. They control their own destiny here.
Yeah, this game's kind of going to lean on the bats, I think. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I think Philadelphia is going to have to take it like 7-5 or something if they want to get out of here with a win.
Yeah, let's see. Well, we'll see if they do it.
Who do you like in this one?
I mean, I always said it, man. It's too hard. It's impossible to pick against the Braves.
Yeah.
Especially when they're at home. I'm going to give it to the Braves, obviously, because they're just the better team in my opinion, but I really think Philadelphia needs this because if they lose tonight, they could see a 2 next to their name, and that could a +2 instead of what were they +6 a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
So, I mean, then you start to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia's playing with their back against the wall, and I think they'll probably sneak one out tonight.
If they want to make the playoffs, I think they kind of have to. And keeping it on in the NL, we're going to move on to a quick 2-game set between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. No, in Arizona, sorry.
In Arizona, yeah. I feel like we've been seeing less 2 games this year with the new scheduling.
Yeah, and it's weird that it's so late into the season, too.
Very weird.
Both teams need these games, too, as San Francisco starts the day sitting 2 out, and Arizona was in firm control of that second spot, so they both want to win these games desperately.
Big time. And it's bad, too. Well, I mean, it's big right now because they had Zach Gallen go in Game 1.
I was going to say, they look to their ace in the first game, and he'll be taking on Alex Cobb, and boy, did it not go well for Alex Cobb. The Giants would start by getting 2 off Gallen in the top of the first, too. There was a Mike Yastrzemski sac fly and then a Jock Peterson solo homer, his 14th. And I mean, they got to feel confident. We got 2 quickly off probably their best pitcher, and immediately after, man, Alex Cobb just shits the bed. The D-backs score 1 in the first, and then just put up a 4 spot on him in the second. And that's all he would pitch is those 2 innings.
That's a real backbreaker.
Yeah, that's all he would do. He would go 2 innings, allowing 5 hits, 5 earned, a walk, and just 1 strikeout. So he really didn't have his stuff tonight.
Disappointing.
Arizona would add 2 more in the fourth, which was a Marte 2-run single. We keep saying it, man, but he has been phenomenal for that team this year.
Really great year for the switch hitter.
Nice to see him stay healthy, too, for most of the year. And after those 2 runs from Marte, that would be all they need for Gallen in the bullpen. Gallen would go 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, so still giving up a little bit too many. 3 walks and 6 Ks, and he gets his 16th W on the year.
Yeah, no quality start there, but you'll take the win, and he kept his team in the game.
Arizona will win the game 8-4. Zach Gallen, first 200 strikeout season of his young career.
Really impressive stuff. You love to have that round number there.
It's absolutely an awesome number to hit. It's the number that people are really focused on now, besides Spencer Strider, who's going for 300.
Wild.
Because he's just in a league of his own with the strikeout pitch right now. So after that game, the Giants now sit 3 out of the wild card, and Arizona is still a half game up on Chicago for that second spot, but only a game up for a game into the playoffs on Miami. So they got to win all these games too. There's so many teams that just need to win, and not everyone can.
Now, after San Francisco drops that one, they're 3 games out of the wild card spot now.
Yeah, I mean, and it's getting late now, and you're 5-5 in your last 10. You're not really doing much. I mean, the Padres might pass them at this rate.
Yeah, very true. They actually might.
It's crazy. I mean,
Padres are only 2.5 back of them.
And everyone pronounced them dead weeks ago. So if that's how close it is, maybe the Giants are dead too. 3 games is too close to call them dead, but they got to start playing better ball, and they'll look to who I would probably tag their ace, Logan Webb. He's 10-12 on the year with a 3.31, and he's going to be taking on Merrill Kelly, he's no slouch. 11-7 with a 3.45.
Yeah, that's a fun pitching matchup. Guys in their mid threes. That's a good matchup for sure. Should be a fun game.
The NL wildcard race still remains as tight as any, and I mean Arizona has looked probably the best out of any of these teams recently.
Yeah, fair to say.
They're winning their games. They just hit their 80th win of the season last night, so they need 2 games? They got to win 2 games to guarantee above 500 season.
Mm-hmm.
They're right there. You just got to finish them off.
Yeah, big time.
How do you think this one's going to go today? You think the Giants rebound behind Webb?
I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game, but I actually don't. I think Arizona's going to take it. They're going to edge them out, maybe like 4-2, 3-2. Low-scoring game, but they'll win it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same thing. I think both of these guys are fantastic arms, and they're both going to shove tonight because they both know they have to. It seems like Webb steps up for the Giants even dating back to that season when they won their division.
Yeah.
He was their ace, and he was going out there and looking like a Cy Young candidate every night.
Yeah, the reason I pick Arizona in this game is not because of the pitching. I just think it's going to be pitching versus pitching, and the bats will actually be too quiet for San Francisco to take the game.
That's fair enough. I mean, Arizona is the younger of the two teams, so it's interesting to see that they're beating out the vets, but sometimes that's just how the sport goes.
Yeah, they're just hungrier.
We'll keep our eye on that, but I think Arizona is primed for a playoff run.
They're going for their 5th win in a row, and I think they get it. Thank you, everybody who watched and listened. As always, this has been episode 26 of the 9 Frames podcast. It is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
You can catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames. X, we're on there at 9 Frames Pod, and we are on playergm.com. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when we go live on the channel.
Yeah, it's appreciated as always, and we look forward to talking to you again on Friday.
Yeah, we'll fill you guys in on Friday. It should be a pretty eventful couple days.
Set up the weekend, too.